This is a short demonstration on virtual world design, specifically for creating an interactive experience. So many factors should be considered when designing for the participant experience. First, the design. Open source has many resources for many different kinds of builds: business, education, networking, trainings, meetings, simulations, games, displays. Possibilities are endless. Interactivity, though, can be a challenge. So in my introductory photograph, this is the cafeteria scene, classroom scene in Multiverse Masters. And this is one that I designed. Now, open source resources are able to be customized and adapted. InDesign, that's why I love open source. There is a lot of opportunities out there for resources. And there are many resources available right on Multiverse Masters. Now, when you're doing a build, your designs can be a single room, or it can be as large as a sim itself. The first example in this picture is a church, and within that church there is a complete curriculum. There are video, PDFs, curriculum designs, there's a book. Everything is contained right within that one building, plus a lot of little extra things. And the second example is actually part of a larger build on the sim. It just shows the McDonald's and the playground, and there is a whole city around here, and off the side there's a farm. So it's really a virtual world. And the church is actually within this virtual world. So there are many things to consider. In this, again, these examples, these are all currently live at Kitely. The first one is Multiverse Masters. That is the game space maze theme. And the one to the other side is the Graduate Student Collaborative, which is the SUNY ESC GSC, and that's also on Kitely. There's a tutoring example. So you want to consider, who do you want to participate? You need to know your audience and design for your audience. Another thing to consider is how you'll track participants. Through scripting, this is easily solved. Not only scripting, but also Kitely has some tracking features right online, and I recommend that you learn how to use those, just looking into account history, and you can also do scripting in world. So again, back in this picture here, if you'll notice, there is a flying robot, not the white one, but the way in back, that is actually a tracker, and you can track what areas on the sim people go to the most. You also want to consider environment. So for environment, this scene is again on Multiverse Masters, but you see how it's more than just a building. You have the trash truck, you have the trash man, you have the gentleman sweeping the street, you have the person on break and the chair. You want to create a very realistic, complete environment when your goal is immersion and interactivity. So it's created with the participant in mind, and the best environment is focused. Whatever the environment, focus on the details. Make sure every detail is relevant. Don't leave the water, land, or sky out of the design. If your guest is walking around on the sim and they walk through the water, you don't want them falling into the water and seeing this deep, bare space. If you're going to have water that they can walk into, even by accident, you want to develop that, smooth it out so they don't get stuck. If they're going to be flying, then consider what that's going to look like. If you're going to allow flying in your sim, you need to make sure that experience and the view from above is something that is aesthetically pleasing as well. You also want to watch out for the sim boundaries. When an avatar goes off the sim boundary, oftentimes they'll get stuck. And if your avatars that are visiting get confused or stuck, you'll often lose them. Another thing to design for is theme. Now here we have a Christmas theme that isn't currently live, but the space maze, this is from above, what it looks like from above. So you see how aesthetically you can also see it while you're flying. Themes help set the stage for immersion. If you choose a theme, stick with that theme. Unless like on Multiverse Masters, my theme is actually examples of many themes. So it's the whole concept between Multiverse Masters is that it's a multiverse, and it's built as an example to be an inspiration for other builders. But if you want to create a space theme, then you want to stick with relevant objects. Unless your space theme has aliens that are fairies or aliens that are knights in shining armor, you don't want to include those elements unless it's relevant to what you're trying to create in your theme. So open source resources, again, are becoming easier and easier to find. So if you do decide on a specific theme, like you want to do dinosaurs, you just need to go out and find those resources. You're not going to have to build them all from scratch. Outworlds.com is a fantastic resource for open source. You also want it to be purposeful. So as you can see, we have Meet Here with Students and Educators. This one over here is no longer active. It was on the moon-based theme, and that was a meeting place. And to the other side is the live SUNY ESC GSC, and these are live at the current recording of this short video. So you want to make sure that your purpose is clear. And you can do that with signage, like you saw in the prior images, or images. If you're having a meeting or simply introducing an organization or its members, the participants need to know upon arrival if the purpose of the island has interest for them. If they're uncertain, they may not stay. So there is the best practices video. If you want to go on YouTube to see that, it tells a little bit about that best practices presentation that you saw in that picture. Think about the entry point. Your entry point really is going to be the first design that you want to make, and it's one of the most important designs of the build. Most visitors I've found in the past year and a half that I've been involved in OpenSim only stay for about 3 minutes. So you want to direct them to a specific area that has important information. It should be presented in the entry. You can use pathway design to direct them to other areas. Interactive scripting, I find, is much more effective, such as welcome bots or clearly labeled transport devices to different areas. The point is, though, you want to, within that entry point, within 3 minutes it might take to walk around, you want to grab their interest right at that point. I also realize you can increase traffic by using the hypergrid, and through opensimworld.com you can get a hypergrid code so that others from other grids across the world can come and visit yours. And so in this example, the moon-based theme was presented at the New York City CUNY conference on gaming, and that's the first image. I have it saved as an OR file, but it's no longer active. It may come back again and be on world for a while. I may switch worlds out a bit. The other example of the OpenSim world is what a teleport device for hypergridding looks like. And then we also have the current Multiverse Masters entry point and the current SUNY ESC GSC entry point. One thing I found to be very important, and oftentimes people do within Sims, is they have an empty Sim, meaning that you go there and you feel like you're the only person there. So I've realized that you can overcome this with non-player characters. Nothing is worse than an empty Sim. It's like an empty museum. It will likely remain empty. So with non-player characters, it changes the participant's experience. Although static avatars are great for design, interactive NPCs are even better. Scripting is the key, and it's becoming easier and easier to find open source scripts that you can have it so people can click on these avatars, their characters, the characters can respond to them. Again, outworlds.com has some fantastic resources for interactive non-player characters. So with scripted NPCs, you have the static NPC that can be scripted, like a secretary you click on that can talk to you in sound files, or someone in the room that you click on that can give you a direction and tell you about the surrounding environment. Or you can have actually scripted NPCs that are non-static, where you click on an object like a mop bucket, and the NPC appears and starts mopping the floor, and they may say something to you and introduce themselves. So these can be engaged by clicking on them, by having the participant walk within a proximity of an object that triggers them. There are lots of options available. These NPCs can even have limited conversations where a participant can type in chat and they'll respond according to their scripting. So there is some limited interactivity with having an actual short conversation. They can dance, they can walk, there's a lot of things you can program them to do. I love gaming using scripting NPCs. These are two examples. One is Blinky's Pacman that I put together out of open source and built some objects to go along with it. The other is this play tag game. And the attack avatars actually came from Outworlds. So these scripted NPCs, the ESE student, they chase the nearest participant and transport them on touch. So the ESE student, if you get tagged, you're transported to McDonald's and he says to you, okay, I won you, you owe me a Big Mac. The Pacman game has a wearable avatar, a color-changing ghost that when worn by the participant, it becomes a game HUD, and that allows them to collect points, just like Pacman, and the points can later be redeemed for prizes. And I actually did complete a video, and that's also on my channel, so that you can see an example of that game in action. So to create a non-static NPC using a clone or appearance script, this is an example of a cloning camera that you can click on, and it gives you an appearance card that records your appearance. You can then put that note card in another object, and it will recreate that avatar either through proximity or through being clicked on. And it's really easy to dress your avatar and create a wide variety of NPCs. You can even build your own appearance. I did that with Pacman. I just wore the object that I created. And again, there's lots of free resources out there that can really customize your avatars, and you can make these really easy. There's dinosaurs and dragons, things that you can wear. It's really quite endless, the possibilities. Just remember that unless you build it from scratch, it is best not to sell what you create unless if you're creating it out of found objects in open source, unless you are positive concerning the origin and the license. These are some examples of scripted objects and animations. You have the exercise equipment that causes your avatar when clicked upon. It'll ask your permission and then you'll do the exercises. You have the dice you can roll, the snake that can eat you, the pictures that can change on the art table. You can have dances. You can have prize giving furniture like the lucky chair. This is a swim machine over in the corner. He's swimming with the sharks. So as you can see, there's a lot of options, from push-ups to climbing a tree. Some objects can shoot out particles, and it's really, you'd be surprised how easy it is to adapt pre-made open source scripts. And I have most scripts out there do not cause lag on your sim. You have to make sure that when you're testing out a brand new script that you've never seen before, that you watch the CPU usage. But I have a lot on Multiverse Masters, and with one avatar, I keep it under 10% CPU. So I'm going to test the load to see what happens when I get lots of avatars on there. But I've been able to keep it steadily low with lots of interactivity. And that interactivity also needs to have a purpose. This is an example of a maze game where you are asked questions and you have to type in the channel number to open the doors to get through the maze. So whether it's a larger treasure hunt throughout your sim or small educational challenges, questions can be presented through locked doors where answers are the key. These are simple scripts and can be used with or without game HUDs. They can also be reused in many creative ways, from simply typing into an on-screen box and award a prize, or typed into chat using channel codes. So you see this was another door script where the robot asks you the question, and we have the different quizzes examples from the original Dragon Masters, Multiverse Dragon Masters. So this is some of the products from that sim. and some things that are in development, like the disabilities one is being developed right now. So examples of quiz and gaming strips. So this is an actual quiz taken in World. You have storyboards and quizzes built in, and you can go, sorry, the dog. You can go either simple and small, or you can include all the game HUDs with traps and challenges, and it can get pretty intricate if you want it to be. Oops, I skipped a few there. Okay. And so for more info on interactivity, you can watch, again, another YouTube video on my channel, and that gives you some other examples. All right, well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have found this useful.